All right, here we go with day 20. Can't even believe it's day 20. But I really wasn't sure what I was going to do again. I kind of figured I'd just get on here after my meditation and kind of just see what comes out. It's funny because lately I've been noticing that some of the stuff I talk to in my videos, I've been watching some other people's videos and they've been talking about the same thing. So I kind of think about it as that's where we're at in society and in the world right now is that this stuff is becoming more like popular and more uh, out there, like in the universe. So it's like, because I feel like we're all connected in the universe, like we're all one. We're all one human being on this planet. We may have different things all of us like to do. We may have different triggers. We may have different personalities. We may have different, you know, it just different everything. But at the same thing, we're at the base of everything. We're all human beings. So we all kind of want similar things like growth, happiness, joy, uh, abundance, like all success, to be good at something, to be loved. Like we all have these human emotions we like, but we also all experience all the negative stuff too, like the limiting beliefs, the doubts, the fears, getting triggered, being upset about stuff. So those are the things that kind of make us different, but we're all connected as one. So there was a study done a long time ago where I think it was called the 100th monkey thing, where like they had monkeys on one island and they were like they had potatoes and they were starting to clean out the salt. And when the 100th monkey realized how to do it on the one island, then all of the ones on the other island all just started doing it. It was like that threshold was reached where 100 people knew how to do something, so all that, or 100 monkeys knew how to do something, and then it kind of like shifted through that small area. So I feel like that's what's kind of going on in the world is that more people are becoming aware of the inside, becoming aware that we ain't happy with material things as we used to. And like I said, it's not like I'm against material things. I just think there's more to life too. We got to kind of look at both sides so we can kind of get the whole experience as human. But I think more people are realizing that you need something more than just the material to be happy. Because I know like Tony Robbins has worked with tons of millionaires and billionaires, and he's like, you'd be surprised at how many of them are just unhappy. And I don't remember who it was, but a celebrity a little bit ago too said the same thing. I wish everybody had money so they could see that it's not the only thing that makes you happy. That I feel like, we have this, the society paints this picture of what we need to find happiness. And what we need is our own self, finding ourselves on the inside to be happy. And I used to always say, money can't buy you happiness, and people used to argue with me about it. And I get it. It can buy you nice things, it can buy you experiences, it can sustain you. So we need it. It's just that if you can get that happiness on the inside and have money, then you got the best of both worlds. So for me, it's all about what makes you happy, what you like to do. Where I know in the past I used to create, I used to not be me. I used to be fake sometimes and just be and try to make people laugh and try to be someone I wasn't. Now again, parts of that was me, and I enjoy making people laugh. It's fun, but at the same time, I never used to really express all the stuff I'm talking about on my channel, like my spirituality, my believing in like Buddhism, the East and West. We need to find ourselves within. I believe we all need to meditate. I wish they would teach. I wish they would do it in schools. If we could start meditating when we were young, good Lord. I know Deepak's kids meditate when they're young, and their transition was through life was not as rocky as his. He said because they were more balanced and focused from the inside. And I remember years ago, I watched a show where there was this city in Iowa called Maharaji City where they all met in the morning and they all met before dinner to meditate. And Oprah brought a family there from, I think it was Atlanta or something, and they didn't want to go. The parents did, but the kids didn't want to. And they made a deal with them saying that after a year, if they didn't like it, they could move back. Well, after the year, they didn't want to go back. They're like, everybody's so nice here. We get to meditate. Nobody makes fun of us. I get to be with my thoughts. I get to, so they were just like, it was the exact opposite. Because when you're centered in who you are, you don't need to, you know, talk bad about anybody or treat people bad. It's because you feel good about yourself. Most of the time they say that the way, like if somebody's rude to you, it's a reflection of them, like what's going on inside them. And again, me too. I get that too. Like sometimes I'm not having my best days, and I you know, get triggered, and I try to get better at it to not let it happen as much. But sometimes it still happens. It's still there because I still have some of that energy from childhood and all the experiences I've had in my life. And I feel like that's what we need to do. Like every experience that we have, every meditation, everything kind of releases some of that stuff, or maybe reveals more about yourself that you had forgotten. Because sometimes we bury that stuff in the subconscious, unconscious mind, and it's there, and we act from it, and we just don't realize that that's what we're doing because that part of ourself is sleeping, but it's still there. That's why I feel like all the emotional freedom tapping, all the meditations, coaching, and work like that helps release that stuff and helps you see it and let it go. It's just that most people think that you shouldn't look at that stuff. Like, oh my God, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to look at the things that are inside me that I might need to work on. And you know what? Yeah, some days it's tough. Some days it sucks. But at the same time, it's rewarding when you release that stuff. I mean, we've all been through hard stuff. We've all had well, maybe not terrible, but at least not great things happen to us in our lives. But sometimes the only way to get over it is to face it, to see that uncomfortableness. So I feel like that's where we're at as a society, and maybe even use the word evolution, that we're growing as human beings towards that. Like our next phase in 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 human growth is to find that stuff on the inside and release it, to face your shadow. I know I like making jokes, but like when I make jokes, it's almost my shadow, so I have to kind of express it. I don't mean it, and I don't want anybody to be hurt, but I might make a joke like Bugs Bunny, where you just drop anvils on it. Yeah, that stuff's funny. Do I want anybody to have an anvil dropped on them? Of course not. But again, sometimes you gotta laugh off the stupid stuff that happens in this world because we're human beings. Nobody's perfect, and we're all doing the best we can, like I always say, in the circumstances we're under. And we just got to keep learning and keep focusing, and have that drive from within to want to do more. And I mean, if you don't have it right now, at least you can start to develop it, and then when you start to see the results, then you want to keep doing it. And it's not always easy, but it is rewarding. Like I said, the first year I meditated every day, it was a up and down year, but I was releasing a lot of stuff. So, but then, after that, I mean, it's still like my coach says, it's like you're peeling an onion, and there's layers of stuff that's on the inside that you got to get rid of. And just when you think you got to the core, you realize it's just the next layer. So sometimes, as the deeper you get, sometimes it's the harder stuff that's deep down on the inside because you don't want to feel that anymore. You don't want to be that person anymore. So sometimes, it's very tough. And like they say, that's usually darkest right before the dawn because that's where you're at that level where you want to just keep pushing, and sometimes it gets really tough. But that's when you got to push even harder because that's when you're getting so much closer to getting to that next breakthrough. That's why I say even when you can't see the results, you got to have faith that they're coming. I still fall back in the old patterns too. So it's a journey of self-discovery, like Dr. Simon used to say. That's what meditation is. It gives you that time, that space to look on the inside and ask yourself what really is going on in here. What do I need to work on? What am I holding on to? What are the things that maybe stop me from being the best person I want to be? What are the things that maybe, beliefs that I've had ingrained in me that really aren't mine? They're just been told to me before. You know, that's one of the things I'm having a hard time with too, because it seems like every time I get close to having to get into that next pinnacle, I always have a lot of resistance and stuff because there's something inside me that was beat into me that I need to release and let go of. And it's very difficult at times because you want to hold on to these beliefs that you're not capable of doing stuff, that you can't go out and take a risk and take a change. There was a saying in a movie, I think it was God, what's the name of the movie? Where I This is where I leave you or something, where he says I played my life safe. So he's like every choice I made in my life led me exactly where I didn't want to be. So he kept playing it safe, never taking any risks, and then he ended up he didn't do these things, and he ended up being exactly where he didn't want to be anyway. So it's like sometimes you need to take that risk and see what happens, because again, you can always make a change if that risk doesn't work out. You can always restart. Everybody always thinks that if the house burns down, that you're starting over and you can't overcome it, but sometimes you're starting with a different perspective. You're not starting over, you're just rebuilding. So again, at some point you just gotta say, hey, F it and see what you can do, and see what happens and be that and let go of that stuff and try to become a better person no matter what you're trying to do. So I guess that's the message for the day is just be yourself, find out what really, really you enjoy, and just do it regardless of what anybody says, what anybody does. And uh, this is me trying to do the same thing. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But again, if you like the video, like and subscribe. I just want to get this content out more to people, to help people, to have impact on people's lives, so maybe they can see that they're capable of doing more too. All right, bye.